You're listening to the Slow Ride Podcast. Bikes, advice, and rumors straight from the source. TheSlowRidePodcast.com and on Twitter at TheSlowRidePod. Enjoy the ride.
Hello and welcome to the 225th episode of the Slow Ride Podcast. This is your 2018 Schwamigan Fat Tire Festival Showdown winner, Tim Super Rookie Hayes in Orlando, Florida.
This is Matt in Minneapolis. I'm nothing.
This is Spencer in Boston, Massachusetts. Guys, I'm on top of the world.
Really? I'm kind of down low at the bottom, feeling kind of crappy today. Why are you so
Spencer,
high, Spencer?
What do you mean by on top of the world?
I'm on top of the world. I'm just things are good, you guys. Things are looking up. It's spring training season. Getting in the base miles. It is. We're looking forward to the spring classics right around the corner. We got the Tour Down Under on the radar. We've got all this stuff. Just we're days away. It seems like from road season.
You almost had me there for a little bit, and I gotta admit, it's good to get back on the pod, get back into the things. And I've listened to the last few episodes, and I've also listened to the review podcast episodes that have been up, kind of checking in. You guys didn't burn the house down while I was gone. I'm stoked on that.
No, we didn't take the trash out, though.
You didn't take the trash out.
No, there's a bit. It's don't go into the kitchen. It's kind of messy too.
Yeah, don't open the closet.
Yeah,
but I will say that you guys had a good couple of episodes, but I was a little disappointed by the lack of Japan Cup talk.
Mm-hmm.
The sixth monument.
Yeah,
it's true. We did want to save that. Well, we do have some respect. In this house, there's a lot of trash. Don't open the closet. But also in this house, we do respect each other. And we know the Japan Cup is near and dear to your heart. So we did want to save that.
To my heart, to the international cycling world, it's a big event.
Right.
It's big-ish.
So what did you have to say about it, Tim?
Yeah, who won? Do you remember?
First, a couple of things.
Pop quiz,
that I want to
Timmy.
get.
Who won? No, tell me now before you can Google the results.
And not the crit on Friday or whatever.
It was the guy from. It's the guy with the really good last name. His last name was Power. I don't remember what team he was on.
Rob Power.
But he had the Watts, and I
Rob
remember
Power
making the joke
on Yellow Lotto.
Robert Power.
Who is so close to Homer Simpson's fake name that he got off a hairdryer all those years ago of Max Power. That would be the best cycling name ever, but Rob Power, pretty close.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good name. I guess that it's not Max Power good, but let me say this. We don't need to go into detail about the whole race, but the Japan Cup Twitter feed may be one of my favorite professional race Twitter feeds that are out there, because with Twitter there's this great translate function, and there's just a lot of the translate isn't up to the full standards that you would expect in 2018. It's 2006 technology, so there's a lot of words that don't translate right away. There's a lot of lost in translation, I guess is what you would say. Bill Murray would put out there.
Let's just say their tweets are poetry.
Yes, and they have the crit beforehand. That looks like such a wonderful event.
Yep.
That is. So when we started this podcast 226 episodes ago, and then there's a couple of bonus episodes in there, so almost 230 episodes.
Okay.
Good math.
It's some fuzzy math.
200 and let's just say 224 hours just to make it even.
That's 250.
That's 10 full days of podcast materials out there for anybody that's listening to it on regular speed. Yeah. At first, I just wanted to press pass to an event. We got the press pass to the World Championships.
Yep. We should have retired.
I want to be able to do a live podcast from the Japan Cup. I will stop this podcast the moment that happens.
Let's start laying the groundwork. Let's start bugging
We need this campaign.
Yeah, let's do it.
But here's where we're struggling. I don't know if we have any Japanese listeners. and that maybe like that's where we need to like we got a single listener in Canada. You know, we got an Englishman. We also have a Scotsman. Not the same thing. But yeah. Anyways, just thinking about it, just throwing that out there.
The language barrier might be a problem for us. I mean, I know probably all of Japan speaks better English than we do, but it still might be difficult. Anyways,
I mean, so Japan Cup happened, 6th monument. Congratulations to Robert Power.
Yeah, and we can mention the crit the day before the actual Japan Cup was won by John Degenkolb, so he is back in the mix.
It's back, baby.
So Degenkolb was looking pretty good over the last few days on the Twitter because Trek Segafredo Racing used him and not 2019 Tour de France also ran Richie Porte as the debutante of the new kit for next year.
Well, we're probably going to see
on the women's
more
team
with like rips in the side of the bibs and stuff, so they didn't want to debut with that kit,
Okay,
sure. But
now
you're,
the women's
you're
team
definitely
kit,
burying the lead, Tim. I know you're trying to get to it, but you're burying the lead.
Little guy interrupted me here, and I was going to say that the women's team was it Lizzie Armistead? I apologize, forgot her new last name after marriage, but Daigen, thank you. That kit was debuted, but Yolanda Neff debuted, and I don't even know who was debuting the men's side of that training kit, but the half and half like Two-Face from Batman kit, like half neon, half red, half neon, half camo, was pretty amazing.
It was pretty amazing. The women's team kit looks great.
Fantastic.
Debuted kind of at the World Cup by the rest of the cross team, but
yes.
Yeah, the lead there that's been buried is Yolanda Neff signing with the Trek Factory Racing team.
It's big.
Is just huge. It's
huge.
Absolutely crushing big news. Like they've already got a pretty huge women's team within the sport, and to add Yolanda to that lineup is oh my goodness.
Is Team Trek now like the Team Trek women's racing? Let's give them they're now like the
for downhill, for cyclocross, for cross country, for soon to be road. They're not messing around. It's pretty cool.
It's pretty impressive. They do have. It seems like everybody.
Yeah, there's not a lot of things that surprise me in cycling these days. Big moves happen, like people switch teams, whatever. But the Yolanda reveal to Trek, I was pretty floored. Like I was like, that's huge. I was caught off guard.
The thing with Yolanda Neff that I'm curious if it's going to continue on is that she does have that like helmet sponsor that's like the sticker on the nose of her helmet or on the front of the helmet.
Yeah.
I'm surprised we don't see more of that type of sponsorship across all disciplines of cycling. It seems like in downhill you kind of get it a little bit with, sure you get the Red Bull folks, but you get like the Muck Off will do like the big like wrap on the downhill helmet or whatever. But Yolanda Neff has like just this little sticker, and it reminds me when I was growing up playing ice hockey, and the coach would take a piece of hockey tape and then write my name across the front of the helmet so he could look at me and then say Tim, and then I'd be like, he knows my name, but no, he was just reading the name that's on my helmet that I couldn't see. And is that going to continue for next year for Team Trek, or is that going away?
I am going to go ahead and go out on a limb and say that is going away. Doesn't seem like they need to go to those lengths to get the sponsorship dollars over there on the Trek Factory Racing team.
So, I mean, Trek Factory Racing on the women's side has pretty much every top level women's cyclist, it seems. Or maybe not the top, but they're going to have the
There's
best.
There's a few other
team.
Good riders out there.
You're right. I apologize.
That. Yeah, no, they're a good team though. Do you guys think I could sell my like a sponsorship on the front of my helmet?
I think so. So. I mean, not to like BMC or
I
or
wouldn't want
Yellow
to do
Lotto
that.
or anybody, but
No.
I think you could sell it to like Dave's Fish Market or something
All
like that.
I'm gonna put it out right now. $50. Just $50,
Oh.
and you can get a sticker on my helmet for
What about-
the rest of the cross season. That's
That seems a
3
little cheap.
races.
What's your schedule? Three races.
I had 3 more races. I'm gonna do.
I will offer you
Send me a sticker.
$50. I
All
will
right.
offer you the $50 if I get to pick what sticker is on the front of your helmet for the last 3 races.
All right, that's fine. I'll deal with that. That pays for 1.5 of my races, maybe just one, depending upon how stupid expensive some of these races have gotten.
Hmm.
It's probably gonna say like penis or something on it, but that's fine. I'll race with that.
Nah, I'm thinking eggplant emoji at the very least. I'm not sure,
Oh, that's
but
great.
it's gonna be good.
All right, I'm making this deal. Send me
So-
my money.
So the Trek Factory team kit seems to be the first one that's been fully revealed that's caught my fancy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The men. So we're going to discuss this. I'm sure we're going to do another cycling jersey draft at the start of next year once we
Oh,
start
for sure.
seeing more of these.
Tim, I have
the other-
one question about the men's team, the Trek
Yeah.
Segafredo kit that was revealed. Do you
Yeah.
think? How long do you think the drawn-out legal court battle with Red Lotto is going to go on for stealing their design template and making it into a new kit?
That is a good question. It was pointed out on our Twitter account that there is a lot of red and black now in the Peloton. Like the Peloton goes through these
It's the new blue.
these waves, right? Remember a few years ago it was blue.
There's
We're
a lot
ripe
of
for
black
it.
for a while. Yeah.
A lot of black. We're definitely ripe for, I still think a purple kit could go a long way right now. I think that, we're still waiting for good high vis, like not some secondary, like continental team high vis. Like we're looking for like a pro tour team to go full on high vis.
Yeah.
I mean, Trek has dabbled. Trek has definitely dabbled.
Check
in that.
dabble.
Sure. And they have these like
EF's
training kits,
kinda
but
borderlining it.
Mhm.
EF, the number one pick of the 2017 top corner draft
18.
corner
I stand by
jersey
it.
draft.
Best jersey in the Peloton. I stand by it.
Wow.
Oh,
Hey,
brutal.
Full steam ahead on that Titanic of a
let's-
draft pick.
Let's draft again, man. I'll draft it first every time. It's way better.
Spencer, that
than
is a
those
good
other
question.
ones.
Yeah.
That is a good question about Red Lotto. I'm excited to see more. I think the other big news that I did see was that Eddie Merckx is back into the pro Peloton on the bikes for AG2R. Is going to be riding some Merckx.
That is very interesting. Yeah.
I am pretty excited about that. But anyway, there's so much to discuss. You guys talked on, the Tour de France debut routes, like where we were talking about how they're just like finding mountain roads with gravel and all of that fun stuff. But we have a couple emails to get to tonight, and then I think people do want to talk about some bike racing as well. So since we're kind of in the doldrums, the winter doldrums, I think we should just pop open cycling tips and see what the number one news story is over on cycling news. So here it is. Simon Yates finally reveals his maximum heart rate at the Vuelta a Italia, and it happened in stage 2. So this is the news that we've all been waiting for on what was Simon Yates' heart rate on stage 2. That is how much bike racing is happening outside of cyclocross right now in the world, that this is a lead story on cycling news.
Pins and needles,
Yeah,
man.
well,
Pins and
yeah, I
needles.
mean, I would say, what have we spent 5, 6, 7 episodes now? Just with that little 5-minute window in the middle of the episode where we discuss, where we think his maximum heart rate is, and it, we sort of revise our guesses, with any new information that we have. I was at 155. Little guy was a little higher at 192. Tim, I can't remember what your number was off the top of my head.
Oh, I don't think that there's a way he crossed, 135. Like that's kind of like my resting rate. Like I know a lot about heart rates, so I'm just going to assume that 135 is more than enough for him.
Probably. I mean, he is a lightweight guy, so power to heart rate ratio has got to be down there.
So little guy,
yeah.
what do you think Simon Yates was putting out in his peak heart rate?
His peak heart rate. So what is he, like 24?
Yeah.
25? 203.
Kind of close.
All right.
It was Spencer, do you want to take a run at this?
I would, but I actually don't. I think that was a clickbait headline there on Cycling News, and that he actually has no maximum, and that's the mind-blowing revelation, is that it just keeps going. He can go as high as he needs to.
That's
okay.
freaky
It's
weird.
actually 201.
Yeah, all right.
So 201, which, I can't believe that's news, but let's just move on to
why should I be
exciting-
impressed by that? That's just normal.
I know, that's why is that even a story? But
based off
it
his
shows where we're
age
at.
and the fact that he's an elite athlete. That's like
Now, this past week was the Continental Cyclocross Championships across the world. We also saw the return of Koppenberg Cross. Our friend in the podcast industry, fellow Wide Angle Podium Network member, Bill Scheiken of Crosshairs Radio, has also been doing a lot of coverage on these events, including the live color commentary. What was that, like the Spruce Goose Cross up in Toronto, Spencer, or is that just the name of a plane, and it was like the Silver Goose or something up there for the Pan Am Championships?
Yeah, Silver Goose Cross. I don't know why they call it that, but they did have, and you would like this, Tim, if you search out these photos, every winner got a Silver Goose trophy, a trophy of a goose that was silver, and it was life-sized goose. It was like a 2 foot tall goose statue, and apparently the crowd chanted "Kiss the goose" if you won the goose, and you had to kiss your goose trophy. And this is the kind of thing that I am here for, you guys. Cycling needs more of this. I don't know that this was a huge event on the worldwide spectrum of events that happened recently in cyclocross, but we need more Silver Goose. We need more legendary trophies. We need some Torino Adriatico level trophies in cyclocross.
Yes.
And this is the start.
I had heard about the Silver Goose trophy on Twitter, but I did not see a picture right away. So before I saw the picture, I had envisioned that it was like a tinfoil bird, like you would get at like a takeout restaurant or something. Like I remember going out to eat and like, oh, here's your doggy bag, and then they would take the tinfoil and make it like rabbit ears or whatever. I was expecting that's what the goose would look like, and then I saw the actual trophy, and I was like, holy crap, that's an amazing trophy.
It is amazing. That is worth the price of admission, right there.
I would say that's one of the best. It's not up there with the trident or the hat in the like cycling trophy.
Give it
time.
But
it's definitely on the Wide Angle Podium of trophies. Like
sure.
Like sure, it's up there.
To my knowledge, I think it would be number one, or a very good argument for number one within cyclocross.
Yes.
I can't think of anything that even
besides the sandbag. We got Jordan Cullen for sandbagging in the category threes for years. I would say the Silver Goose is the one.
The sandbag, that's true. It doesn't get a lot of press, but that might be the greatest podium award ever. And I would encourage every race director out there listening to give all your Cat 4 and Cat 3 winners a sandbag. They're available from Home Depot. They're very cheap.
It's like $2.99. And you put the check in there. Like you put like a $5 bill inside the sand, and then you reseal it back up, so they have to find it.
Yep.
It's a great way to do it.
Great way to do it.
So who won the Silver Goose Cross? We out there, like, did who are the new representatives of Pan Am cyclocross?
Yeah, so that was an exciting part of it. Is in the women's race. Let's start there. Katie Compton, when they started doing this Pan Am Championship in 2015, this is something I learned from Bill and Scott, who are doing the commentary. Nobody has won this women's elite race except for Katie Compton.
And we've seen the jersey several times that she wears.
Yeah. And
she's been the Pan Am champion.
Yes. She stayed in Europe. She's on a European campaign right now. She did not travel to Canada to defend this jersey. So for the first time ever, we're going to see somebody other than Katie wearing this jersey. And the racing was awesome. It was very dramatic until the last lap. I don't want to ruin it if people want to go watch it. But I'll give you the results. Katie Keogh in third, Ellen Noble in second, and our Pan Am champion, Magali Rochette.
Canadian
on Canadian soil. Yeah.
Wow.
So that was an awesome race. Despite the knowing the podium, I would recommend going to watch that one.
Is Rochette, is she from Quebec or is she like Ontarian?
She's from let me check my notes. Canada.
Okay. Yeah, probably just like a little bit east of Manitoba, maybe. So that's a pretty surprising result. Like, should I know who she is beforehand? Because I have not heard her name before.
You probably should. Yeah.
Okay.
Although I would not blame you for kind of thinking Ellen Noble is maybe a shoo-in for this one. She's won 7 straight races, but the last time she lost was in Rochester, the C1 to Magali Rochette.
Ooh,
so
it's like it's her Moriarty.
I know.
Wow.
I know. So that was exciting. On the men's side, even more exciting, maybe. We had Stephen Hyde back, from his injury, going for gold. He's the defending champ. We had Vandenham, the national champion in Canada, friend of the podcast. Yeah. He was going for it on home soil as well. Kerry Warner was there. Curtis White. Who else? All the big hitters were there.
Justin Lindeen?
No, he wasn't there. I don't know if he falls into the big hitter category anymore. But suffice to say, Stephen Hyde was looking great. Took a pretty big digger during this race. It actually looked real bad. But reports after the race is he's fine. So that's great. Great news. If you hadn't heard it, he is A-OK. The win came down to a sprint, probably a tire width difference between Michael Vandenham, who took second place, and Curtis White from Cannondale,
nice.
who won the elite race, which was pretty spectacular.
I kind of wanted Vandenham to win, though. Good friend of the pod.
Gotta say, I was pulling for him the whole way, and he played the last 2 laps tactically perfect. He couldn't have done it any better. I hope he's not at home beating himself up about it, because it looked really good from where I was sitting, and he just, sometimes you got it, sometimes you don't.
So this is the first time the Pan Am Championships have been held in Canada, or is this? Because
Yes.
it was in Louisville, right? The first 3 years, or
It was
2
in
years?
Louisville and maybe in Cincy before
Cincy,
that.
yeah.
Okay. And then, do they have like a multi-year contract? So like next year, if we were going to go, it'd be back to this same Silver Goose Cross?
It is.
or-
It is going to be there next year. Yes.
Okay. And then the course itself, Spencer, from what you saw on the coverage, and Bill's, describing the course, hard, difficult?
It looked
kind of
really
fast?
good. There was a whole beach section that looked really interesting. Couple of different parts where they went along the waterfront, and then a big climb, couple of stairways, a lot of dirt and roots and stuff. It looked really good. The live coverage was okay. As far as camera footage, they had a bunch of stationary cameras they're switching between, which was absolutely better than nothing, but hard to get a feel for some of the course, which is why it was so important that they had Bill and Scott on there doing the commentary, because they did a great job kind of letting you know what the riders were going through and what the course actually looked like. Because some of the shots were kind of far away. Some sections they didn't actually have coverage of, things like this. So, but they did a really good job with it. And the course looked, from what I saw, to be pretty challenging. So that was a worthy course.
That's great to hear. And then I look forward to, maybe even next year the coverage continues to improve. But it was pretty cool to see that that Bill got the call up to do the coverage. So that was pretty exciting.
It's going to be
see when I saw that on his old Facebook.
Yeah.
Good to see Stephen Hyde back.
Yes.
So he broke, was it a rib or was it sternum?
Sternum.
Yeah. So that's
Ouch.
got to be that's an impressive injury to come back from.
Yeah, that's something you don't really want to break.
No.
Like if
I don't
you
wanna
gave
break
me
a
a
lot of
list of
things.
bones and we're like put them in order of most breakable to least breakable, like sternum would be pretty low on the list. Like I don't want to break that.
Yeah. No.
Anyway,
Anyways,
it was some great racing up there in Canada, across the pond in Canada, and I would encourage you to check out the feeds if they have them up still. I don't know, probably on YouTube somewhere.
well, right on. And then what do we have over, little guy? You want to take us through a little bit of the Euro Cross Championships?
Dutch people. That's
All
about
Dutch?
it. All Dutch people, man. No,
Nothing
the
from,
women's race, 1, 2, 3, the Dutch. I didn't actually get to watch the whole thing because I could only find the worst possible feeds, and so everything kept cutting out on me constantly.
That's a pretty good segue there to the podium there, little guy, with the worst possible feed. Because when I tuned in my feed, I just saw Anne-Marie Wurst winning that race.
Yes. Well, there you go. It's true. So, I wasn't even thinking that far ahead. So thanks for knocking that one out of the park as I softballed it over the plate, not realizing, thinking I was throwing a curveball. But the little bit of the women's race I saw, it looked really good, and I do plan on going back and watching it when I can find a YouTube video that won't freeze up on me every 3 seconds. And kind of the same thing in the men's race, though. It was just the Vanderpool show, as usual. He's a beast.
So did Wout give him any type of
yeah, he was pretty
challenge
close.
at all?
He was pretty close. He was within spitting distance. He was like 14 seconds back, and then Sweek was pretty close.
10 years from now, who are we going to say had the better career? Matthew Vanderpool or Wout van Aert? Like who are we going to sit there going, man, that guy was better for sure.
Well, for cross, I think we're going to say Vanderpool, but I mean...
Nope, I'm saying cyclist, little guy.
You trying to turn this into a Mark McGuire, Jose Canseco competition thing?
No, but I'm trying to turn it into a Don Mattingly or Bill Buckner conversation.
So, as it sits here right now, I don't know. I guess you got to say Wout has the better career. But Spring Classics next season... I think about May 1st next year we'll have a
but not even Matthew Vanderpool winning like mountain bike World Cups.
So which one of the two, little guy? Which one of the two would you call the Darryl Strawberry of cyclocross?
I don't want to call either of them that, man. I don't want to wish that upon them.
Which one is the Kent Herbeck of your team that you're going to build an entire team around? Who would you rather if you were going to create a brand new professional cycling team?
Oh, Vanderpool.
And you could get in both really.
I would always pick Vanderpool.
All right. Which one of the two is the Ozzie Smith?
Oh man.
Oh, definitely Wout van Aert.
No. Vanderpool's the Ozzie Smith because he's got the Ozzie Smith.
There's no way
Ozzie would do the
Vanderpool can do a
I want to hear from
backflip.
little guy.
Dude, Vanderpool is technically much, much, much better than Wout. There's no way you cannot argue that he's.
But you're going to have him batting ninth? Come on.
Now, I know.
Obviously, the offensive side, we're having trouble with any Ozzie Smith comparisons because.
Little guy, I need to know, and I think I know the answer to this question. But which one of the two is the Tony Gwynn of cyclocross? I'm specifically thinking 1986 baseball card. Yeah. Tony Gwynn with the flip-up shades.
Well, Tony Gwynn was super cool, but I mean, also just consistent. A lot of singles, a lot of doubles, hit for average, right? Never really hit for
average,
power.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with Wout because like second place every race. You know, Vanderpool. So like if we go back to Wednesday, Vanderpool blew up at Koppenberg Cross and Toon Aerts won, and Wout was second. So Wout right there is just Tony Gwynn the week, right? 2 second places where Vanderpool went out, did a Sammy Sosa, did a Mark McGuire, struck out on Wednesday, and then he hit a home run on Sunday. So
wait, so little guy, Koppenberg Cross, the only headline I saw besides Toon winning on the men's side was Wout van Aert complaining that he's actually gained too much muscle from riding on the road, and it's hurt his ascents.
I saw that, and I thought that was kind of funny because I was sort of, I don't know. To me, that seemed bizarre. Two reasons. One, because I would think all those long road miles would make you leaner. And two, did you guys see the shot of Vanderpool posting up for the win today?
Oh, yeah. With the painted on skin suit. Woof.
Yeah. That dude is so ripped. Like, not often do you see a cyclist posting up, putting the arms in the air, and it looks like he's wearing a Superman costume because that six-pack is so ridiculously pronounced. It
was good.
I felt like he, on the podium, was like, hey, wow, you're putting on too much muscle, bud.
That's, like, I mean, I do sympathize with Wout, though. I understand where he's coming from. You know, that definitely affected me for our Schwamigan challenge.
Yeah.
I think now
I was going to say also like the last six or 7 years of your cycling career in general, man. I was just like too muscular.
I just got too strong. I've been riding too much. I've just been, I got muscles in places I didn't even know I had. muscles there. So
So-
yeah, it's just a mess.
So
That's one of the better excuses for not winning a race I've ever heard in my life is that you're too
pretty
muscular. Like,
that's
if he was
I
like
liked that too.
Dylan Groenewegen or whatever the hell his name is, I'd believe it. That guy is like a tensed muscle. Like he's just one
You know
big
who
tense
else?
muscle.
You know who else is just nothing but muscle?
Bling.
And we should talk about him right now.
Matthews.
And that's going to be
oh my
Bling
god.
Matthews.
Oh,
Can you
my
imagine
God. Have
him
you
with his
seen that
shirt
guy?
off?
Oh, hey there, all you hosers. This is Manitoba Mike Vandenham from Canada, and you're listening to the Slow Ride Podcast, eh?
Oh, guys, we are here at the Preem Lap, and we are racing for quite a few things as normal. But Spencer, first up in the Preem Lap, we've kind of got a little bit of an underground secret going out there.
yeah.
That maybe if you're on our Twitter account, you know about. If you're in the Facebook super fan group, you know about. But let's bring it to the listeners. Let's let them know a little bit of what we're working on the side.
I imagine that you are referring to Slow Ride Reviews,
That's
the
right.
brand new offshoot podcast to the Slow Ride podcast that we have going on here. Yeah, we're 2 episodes deep at this point, and I haven't been on one. Although I am part of the show, I just haven't had anything to review yet, but that is coming. We've been, I'm pretty sure people who are astute listeners to the Slow Ride podcast are aware of this because we have been dumping it into the regular feed.
Yes.
So it
but they
should
might
be
not know
showing up.
what it was there for. And
No, that's probably true. We've done a pretty poor job of explaining exactly what's going on, but
I'm gonna say that you guys are wrong. Everybody totally understands.
Well, let me. We got one. We have a single review.
oh,
We have a single review of the review podcast.
okay. I want to hear this.
Let's hear
5 stars.
Yes.
From Danilo DeLuca.
it. I knew it. I knew he listened.
Fun show. A grown-up version of the kids' table at your family's Thanksgiving.
Oh, Dan, I don't know if that's a compliment or not. So thank you.
It sounds like a 5-star compliment to me. Who possibly
This sounds
would?
this sounds suspicious. Much like Daniello DeLuca himself.
Also
Very suspicious podcast review here, but I'm glad that we have one and then it's 5
Yes.
stars.
And others can leave, but I will say, Spencer, I'm looking forward to your first review. I know you've got a lot up your sleeves already. I don't. Do you have anything like you're working on? Like what is something you've been using lately that like you're planning on reviewing?
I've
Some
got
chamois cream. Some
no.
embrocation.
I'm not gonna hit you with the chamois cream. I'll just promise you guys that right now. But I do have a couple of things that I've actually nobody's given me any free stuff to review. Basically, is what it comes down to. And I don't know that I really want any free stuff. I kind of want to review some stuff that I've been using personally for a few years and just kind of let you know if it's worth it. You know what I mean? Like, should I spend my couple hundred hard-earned dollars on this thing, whether it's a bike part or a clothing or something else? I'm going to get into that kind of stuff. So
Okay.
I think you guys are going to like it. It's going to be no holds barred. That's for sure.
So I'm gonna just warn the listeners now that I'm not reviewing the entire catalog of the World Cycling Productions DVD collection.
Should be.
We should, but that would be the second podcast. But anyways, check it out. The Slow Ride Reviews. We got a couple more episodes, and then they'll be all going over to their new feed. So take a look at it on iTunes.
Yep.
Subscribe, rate and review. We appreciate it. The first 2 episodes, little guy, you've been on both. You killed the second one with a nice interview with Daniel Devise, of the comeback.
Nice, you listened.
Which is the story about Greg LeMond's epic comeback.
Yeah.
And then, little guy, you and I just did another great interview, kind of a review that we'll be, editing up in the future with Gary Crandall of the Chequamegon Fat Tire Festival, where we'll be adding some of that feedback as well. So pretty exciting stuff. I'm looking forward to the start of that adventure.
Yep.
Yeah, I was good.
But,
I liked interviewing him because mostly he he told us we didn't ruin his last Schwamigan for him, and so I was happy to hear that.
Yeah, that was a positive review on the review. So definitely, let's give a shout out to Grimper Brothers Coffee. You can go to go to wideanglepodium.com.
Yes.
There is the ad in the skyscraper on the right side that says the Grimper Brothers Full Schleck Coffee Blend.
Yep.
Or you can just go to bit.ly/WAP Beans to order your own Full Schleck blend of coffee. We'd like to thank Grimper Brothers for partnering with us.
Yeah, it's been awesome. We've gotten some really great feedback on the coffee from all kinds of folks that have been ordering it up. Grimper Brothers actually said it's their number one seller, so that's pretty exciting.
We did it.
Yeah, we're doing great. You guys are crushing it. I'm super excited about that, and I think we're gonna look into expanding and adding another blend. So let us know if you try the Full Schleck, what you like about it, and if you had a second option from Wide Angle Podium, what you might want to see. Maybe an espresso, maybe a dark roast, maybe some after dinner coffee. I don't know.
What are we gonna name these?
Nice.
Gross.
Can we do an espresso that's called the DeLuca? But then when you get it, it's not actually espresso. It's like a total fake out. It's not actually that good. Wait, that wouldn't work.
Come on. No, you wouldn't want that to happen. So anyways, once again, thanks to Grimper Brothers. And finally, as always, head over to the wideanglepodium.com to find out more about the other family of shows on the network, including our friends over at the Consummate Athlete, who continue to put out high quality content week after week after week. And what the best part is about the Consummate Athlete, it's not just about cycling. That's probably my favorite part. I actually feel that I'm a pretty well-rounded individual after listening to it. Everything from race car drivers to cross-country skiers to other silent sport aficionados. Great interviews and great advice on the Consummate Athlete podcast.
Yeah, that's a good one. As well as Bike Shops DX, Cyclocross Radio, Cyclocross Television by Bill, and all kinds of other great stuff. So wideanglepodium.com, find the whole family of shows, check them out.
Right, and let's get back to the show.
I'm Ellen Noble, and you're listening to the Slow Ride Podcast.
All right. As I mentioned before, we've got about 4 emails that we're going to be getting to from some of our loyal listeners that have emailed us in at the slowridepodcast@gmail.com. But before we get there, as always, we do like to fire up the internet machine, go on the iTunes, and read the reviews. And it's been about a month since we've had a review. So we got our first review, and this is from AldiBR93. And it's a 5-star review, and it says, a great podcast, even for folks who don't like podcasts. And he says, I was never a podcast guy, but on a recent long road trip, I found I needed a break even from all the satellite radio has to offer. So maybe he's sitting there and he's like, I've just listened to a little bit too much of Ozzy's Boneyard. Or maybe I've just had a little bit too much for XMU or whatever satellite radio channel he's listening to. My quick search for a cycling podcast led me to Matt, Tim, and Spencer's pod, and it has not disappointed. Wit, whimsy, and even plenty of wisdom makes this a show for everyone from the casual cyclist to the obsessive racer. I'm dreading the day that I finish catching up on the back catalog and will have to wait a whole week at a time for new episodes. Jeff A. from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Thanks, Jeff.
Oh, Jeff. Jeff, that's probably one of the kindest reviews we've ever gotten.
Yeah.
I personally appreciate it. Yeah. But Jeff, you're a friend of the pod. You're a fan of the pod. I appreciate you wanting to listen to the back catalog, but do me a little bit of a favor. Maybe start at episode like 150. There's 200, there's 10 days of podcast. Even if you're listening at 2 times speed, that's 5 days of podcast minimum.
He's got a long road trip, Tim.
Yeah. He's got a lot of commuting, I guess.
This guy's got to find out what some of the things that you've really said back in the 2-digit episodes.
So I was thinking about this. Like we all have our favorite episodes, but there's some that definitely stick out. The Eric Saunders interview, the Derek Bouchard Hall interview, which obviously is timeless because we're gonna have to get an interview with him before he leaves to take over Assos.
I mean, and then we've got the lukewarm debut was obviously a huge fan favorite.
That's a fan favorite. I mean, any of the drafts have been pretty good, but like even the draft started after like episode 125. The Dan Craven interview I loved.
Yeah.
I think my favorite interview though is going to be the Eric Saunders one because not enough people know who he is, and just how he took over the entire podcast was probably the greatest hijacking in the history of podcasts, and I love that, and I can't wait to have him back on again. But anyways, Jeff, thank you so much for the wonderful review. And let's get to some of these emails.
Okay.
So, Spencer,
Yeah.
why don't you do you want to ring up the first one? I believe the first one is from a friend of the pod, Sam, at Kids Cross in DC.
Yeah.
Kids Cross Corner.
Yeah, so we have a Kids Cross Corner from DCCX a few weeks back. You may remember from a previous episode that Sam ended up buying a single-speed cyclocross bike that was previously owned by yours truly. So this is maybe our first race report of how that bike worked out for him. It's a pretty lengthy email, so I'm gonna kind of summarize it a little bit here. But let's just say the start went fantastic. He was crushing it, absolutely smashing everyone. He had a top 10 position early in the race, smooth sailing. He was clearly gonna podium, wide angle podium, probably win, definitely in the money.
And he's on the bike that we recommended him for.
He's pretty much says it's guaranteed to be because it's the frame that was blessed by Schwamigan, rightful winner Spencer Howe.
Can I stop here?
Sure.
Does he have like a mechanical so that we can say, well, Mom should have bought you Campy? Like a Campy like disc brake set or something?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not a disc brake bike, but whatever. So anyway, he's pushing in his top 10, and he says, quote, "I was brutally attacked by an inanimate rock and got a front flat."
Oof.
So he's doing the single speed race because this is a single speed bike. He does not have a single speed pit bike, nor does he have pit wheels. So he's on lap 1, front flat, no pit bike, no pit wheels. What do? Well,
Steal a wheel.
I'd steal a wheel.
Steal a wheel.
Sam,
now you
we
can't
know
corrupt,
you're a kid. You can get away with it.
You
You're a
can't
minor.
corrupt the youth. Shoulders the bike, starts running. Now this is a 45-minute race.
Oh my God. Please tell me he continued the whole time.
He continued the whole time.
That's nuts.
Yeah, and he says he got multiple offers for pit bikes and wheels along the course and from the pit, which he declined because
You got to accept them.
Yeah, no, they weren't as special as the Raleigh with my DNA on it in it as you were.
Oh, that's beautiful, I guess, in a way. Also silly.
Yeah. So he's been running this whole time. He comes across a single speeder towards the end of the race, 50 meters from the line, and realizes if he can beat this guy who is riding his bike, if he can beat him on foot, he won't be last place.
Oh,
Yeah.
So he throws down the sprint of his life on foot
running
to keep this guy away from him, behind him. And he just barely pulls it off.
Oh my God.
Wow. That's impressive.
Hero.
Yeah.
Yep.
How's that other guy feel? Whew.
It's amazing. He says he got it with a bike throw.
Like literally a bike throw, probably.
Yeah. Yeah. I managed to lean myself in the bike far enough ahead to take the sprint win on foot and not end up last. After the race,
Bravo,
a bunch
man.
of people came up, congratulate him. Sounds amazing. Sounds epic. It's a totally worthy story to be sent into the Slow Ride Pod. I really appreciate it. And, he was he was very excited to not finish last, which I think is about as good as you could hope for from a bike that you got, sort of by way of me.
Yeah.
So there you go.
One of my favorite cross memories is flatting about 20 seconds into one of the Powderhorn cross races here in Minneapolis, and riding around with the front flat for a lap, and then another racer said, "Hey, grab my wheels. You can grab my front wheel, And he pointed to me the wheel. And the most exciting part wasn't just that I got a wheel and I got to get back in the race, is that it was a Spox front wheel. And I'd always wanted to ride a Spox front wheel.
and did you beat the guy who gave you the wheel?
I think I did. But it was really exciting to ride a Spox. And one of the best things is about getting neutral stuff from somebody else is, one, it always ends up being a tire you don't know, right? I feel like in all my experiences with this, it's never like somebody says, "Oh, go grab that wheel," and it's the same kind I got. It's like a brand I've never used, and it's always pumped up to about 50 PSIs. And while it's great that you're racing and you're riding, it's also very weird. Like, I always feel like I'm going to crash all race and I'm going to ruin somebody else's equipment. And it kind of makes me a little freaked out.
Yeah.
But anyway.
So, yeah, I'd pretty much be freaking out. But then again, I don't race cyclocross anymore, and I've never had to use a pit bike because my bikes never fall apart. Let's get to my first email. This one comes to us from Jeff Aldrich, also who gave us that 5-star review. So thanks again for also emailing in, Jeff. As a new loyal listener, I came to the Cycling Oracles with a request for advice. One of the things that has tickled me most is little guy's nickname for his son, Tom Boonen. As imitation is the highest form of flattery, I've been searching for a similar nickname for my 15-month-old son, Archie. So, little guy.
Yeah.
How do you go about choosing that nickname? Did your son show Boonen-esque traits at an early age, like crawling quickly and steadily over wet cobblestones or out sprinting the other kids at the end of daycare? Or did you just choose a rider whom you admire? Is my little one a little Thibaut? Is he a Robert Gessink or a tinier Tommy Vogler? Or maybe as a half Aussie kid who rarely finishes his dinner, is he a little Richie Port? The best I get from my wife on this topic is a good nature eye roll, so any help you can provide will be much appreciated. Thanks in advance. P.S. What's a lower threshold of interaction when you become a friend of a pod, and the upper threshold is when you become an annoyance of the pod? Asking for a friend, Jeff. So,
yes,
we have this nice email here from Jeff.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff.
Yep.
Notice he's into Tom Boonen, not Little Heimar. So let's get into it, little guy.
Yeah.
What kind of advice do you have for Jeff? And any of those nicknames, scream out to you?
Well, I really like Robert Gessink. But my advice for naming your kid, be like I did, which is I think Spencer named him for me. So I would just deflect this question to Spencer. And Spencer, what do you want to name his kid?
Yeah. So basically, my theory for your kid was just to keep throwing stuff at the wall on this podcast until something sort of stuck. I know we tried a few different things, and for whatever reason, it was because we couldn't name him Tom Boonen because that was already taken.
Yeah.
But what if we named him Tom Boonen, like first name Tom Boonen, middle name Tom Boonen? Anyway, for whatever reason that stuck. I think it makes sense. I think it was more reflective of your writing style more than his, since he was not of this earth yet when he got the name. So, I think we need to know a little bit more about Jeff, what he's into. Sounds like he's Australian, so he's probably into Cadell Evans. I'm thinking maybe something in that direction.
I like
what was Cadell Evans' nickname?
He was Tintin too, wasn't he? Because he really liked
just
Tintin.
Because he was a Tin Man, because they could break at any moment.
No, he was a big fan of Tintin, the comic. I don't think that was his nickname though, because
I thought Tintin was David Rebelin.
Yeah, the thing is, if you're really splitting hairs here. They both kind of look like Tintin in a way.
I would think Cadell Evans' nickname was the Dimple. Are you sure?
I don't think he had a nickname like that I know of.
The biggest problem that I see here is that the easiest way to give an Australian cyclist a nickname, or really any English-speaking cyclist, is just to add a Y to the end. But it sounds like this one isn't. That's not going to be a solution.
No, Archie. Wait, was it Archie or I'm sorry, I forgot.
Yeah, it's going to be Archie with a double with an extra Y.
Here's the thing. Here's the side thing is I think we need like a wiki, a cyclist nickname wiki, so that we have like quick reference for these sorts of things. Because this is.
So I just typed in Cadell Evans' nickname, and if you go to Cadell Evans' website, it says early in his career, Evans earned the nickname the Lung.
Okay.
Which if that's coming from Cadell Evans' website, you can't give yourself your own nickname. Like, I don't believe that.
Yeah,
but
I think I know a certain.
But the one
Australian
that sticks
who gave
out the
himself
most,
his own nickname, and gets a lot of talk.
Now, the one that does stick out a ton, and I seem to remember someone saying this is his nickname, and that's Cuddles.
Oh yeah, that's true. Where does that come from?
Cuddles. Well, it's a Andy Schleck, best bike racer of the universe.blogspot.com, is the one that has the history of Cadell Evans' nickname Cuddles. So seems like a reputable source to me. So I think Cuddles is the early leader in the clubhouse for young Archie Evans.
That could be good. That could be good.
Sounds like a definitive source on the web.
Cuddles is just sort of a drunken slurring of Cadell, I think, is where that came from.
Yeah, that could be true.
But I might look that direction. There's other greats, obviously. Stuart O'Grady, Baden Cook, a lot of great Australians to choose from. As long as you don't call him Baby Bling, I think you cannot lose.
Yeah, there's no way to lose. Question about the truck training grounds from our friend of the pod, Florian Abrahamson. And he was talking about the old training crit that we used to do in Minnesota at the Dakota Technical College. Mm-hmm. And it was like, do you guys remember the crits they used to do on the truck training grounds? Silver crit. Cycling and Hollywood Cycles put it on. I won my first race I ever did there, and I would just like to have the results page printed out. Funny thing, I paid $25 to start the race, and I won $20 for the first place prize. I lost $5 winning.
Classic.
That was my last race. Love the podcast. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are fun.
Yeah, I absolutely remember those races. They were about as low budget as a crit could get, and they were awesome. They were the most fun.
There's two things here. One is in Gainesville, there used to be a crit once a year at the Gator National Speedway. So like they have the drag strip, and then in the back they have like a road testing track.
Yeah.
And it was just like Dakota Tech, where you had what could be 15 different courses all like within a race. And I know they also do it in Jacksonville. So I'm assuming that there's a lot of like training tracks that get used as race courses around the country. Dakota Tech was a pretty good one because there was a pretty nice little hill out there. And I enjoyed racing there. I think I only finished in the group twice out of the 10 times that I ever rode there because there's just too many turns for someone of my skill level.
It was a twisty course.
Yeah,
they could do a lot of things with it. It was a advanced motorcycle training course and a 18-wheel truck driving, like semi-trailer, tractor-trailer driving practice course. So it was a circuit, like a bunch of different little corners and twists and turns, and you could lay out a crit on there, probably 20 different ways, and they would do those every Tuesday night through late summer, and they were awesome. My best crit result ever there, actually, as well.
Really?
Did not take the win, but I did take the second step on the podium, so pretty happy with that.
And then I want to give the shout out. Florian did his best to help identify the ASOS man, but what was great about his description was just the no helmet, slick back hair.
Yeah,
and
sounds
anybody
legit.
That's running the no helmet, slick back hair, in my opinion, is just a model for cycling. So fantastic stuff. So thanks for the email, Florian, and the truck training grounds always provided a good ride. And Graham Davis emailed us at slowridepodcast@gmail.com. Good afternoon, guys. Love your show. There's a cyclist who rides in Rock Creek Park in the Washington, D.C. area. only on 70s and 80s road bikes. I have never seen him ride the same bike twice, and he always wears wool jerseys and matching caps from that era, along with leather cycling shoes designed for toe clips.
I like it.
Until I finally got to ride with him one day, I referred to him as the Ghost. I wasn't sure if he really existed or if he was simply a figment of my imagination. Graham. Wow. This is...
Sounds good to
We've
me.
talked about this. Every community in the country world has these types of figures. And you kind of want to take photos of them, but at the same time, you want to respect their privacy and you don't take photos of these individuals because, you don't want to scare them away.
Yeah.
It's
they
like...
spook easily.
They spook easily. And sometimes you just want to be
they go.
You just want to embrace them for a little bit.
Oh yeah,
this guy
you gotta let that be what it is. Like you just the mystique needs to be there, and also you don't want to check your picture later and come to find that there's no cyclist in that picture.
Spooky.
The call was coming from inside the house.
Yeah.
And that's we've all have these. Now I gotta admit, here in Orlando, in the Orlando cycling scene, I don't really I have not come across the mysterious individual that I'm like, wow, that looks like a cool guy I want to go ride bikes with. I've come across mysterious individuals where I'm like, I don't want to ride bikes with that person, especially alone. Right? There's a difference.
Yeah,
there's
definitely a difference. Yeah.
there's folks that you go on the group rides with, but then there's people that come on the group rides. You're like, man, who is this? Who is this masked man? And then he or she just leaves and disappears, and you're like, was someone on the ride earlier? There is one individual here in Florida or in Orlando who just started coming back to the group rides. On Twitter, he's known as Cat2 Kenny, which was a fantastic internet nom de plume, Cat2 Kenny, because it's just kind of setting it up there I'm better than you, but I'm not the best. But Cat2 Kenny always shows up on the local group rides, little guy. You're going to love this. With continental level team jerseys and kits. So it's the full Vinny Frantini I've seen. The full whatever team Ricardo Rico was on before he went to Sonia Duval that had the 800 sponsors, the Adriatico team or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So kind of next level kit sponsorship. He's kind of getting to that level, but he wears headphones when he's on the ride. So I don't have a chance to talk to him because he's got the headphones in.
Yeah. You should probably listen to some European cycling podcasts. Sounds good to me.
Anyway, before we get out of here, the one thing I just wanted to give a quick shout out. There's to me, and it's got quite the comment string over at Cycling Tips, is the Peter Flax article on the helmets, and it says commentary: why I stopped wearing a bike helmet. I know we've talked a lot about this, but this is probably the best article I've read that has to deal with wearing bike helmets and why some people choose not to, and then the general reaction that the roadie culture in particular gives to individuals that decide not to wear a helmet. After immediately reading this article, I went to go for a little bike ride to go meet my friend for lunch in downtown Orlando. So I was like, I'm not wearing my helmet. I read this article. I'm invincible. And I rode my my bike over there without a helmet. I sit down for lunch with my buddy and he's like, where's your helmet? And I was like, no, you did it to me, man. Yeah. And it was a good, actually, talking points about a lot of different things. And there's lots of good points, I think, that anyone can have on this subject, but check it out. It's a really good article.
Okay.
All right.
I
haven't
will.
read it, so I'll have to check it out.
But anyway, little guy, you're gonna close us out of here. You're gonna hit a home run. You're gonna step up to the plate like George Hincapie, and Rick Sutcliffe is on the mound, and he's just delivering a nice, juicy fastball over the plate, and you hit it. You hit it into deep left field. Okay. And who is the left fielder that is going back against the wall to catch that ball and to maybe throw out the runner tagging up on third base for the go-ahead run?
Dan Gladden.
Not Dan Gladden. I was going for Alejandro Valverde, baseball player extraordinaire, and one hell of an arm.
Oh God, yeah. Those photos are painful but beautiful.
What am I talking about, little guy? You got to help me deliver the segue into.
Is this Santa? I don't remember what it's called. It's crit.
It's like the Santama crit in Japan.
Yeah. It's like your regular post tour fake crit, but this one comes with all kinds of magic, like baseball or cyclists dressed up as baseball players because it's Japan.
So you had cyclists dressed up as baseball players, like who?
You got G. You got
and Geraint Thomas's baseball uniform looked like what?
I don't even remember, man.
It was a yellow jersey, little guy, because he won the Tour de France. It was amazing.
I know Valverde had a world champion one. I saw that. I just saw the picture of like Christoph trying to hit like a baseball off a tee or something. It was just
sounds about right.
Oh my God, it was so beautiful. It was so awkward that I wanted to look, but I had to click on him quick and then look away because it was kind of painful at the same time to watch Valverde try to catch.
So like if Christoph, if the tee was there right in front of him and everything was perfect, he could knock a home run, just dingers, like one after another. But if the tee was just slightly off, he just like foul balls left and right and just, didn't have a real good excuse for why he couldn't pull it off.
He was swinging at it. Here's the thing with Christoph. He was swinging and you thought it looked like perfect bat on ball contact. And right before his bat hit the ball, Sagan, boom, just came out of nowhere, jumped on the stage and just smashed a home run. And Christoph just sort of fell over. His form got really sloppy, and you were like, "Oh man, that's too bad."
I got to admit, when I saw these baseball photos, they made me smile.
It made me smile.
The Alejandro
Valverde
Valverde World Championship baseball jersey.
Oh, I want that.
I really want that.
Oh,
it was
totally
the button up. It looked good.
You don't know, it's a very classic, old school looking baseball jersey. I mean, how cool would you feel that you go to your local baseball game? You go to your Twins game, or I don't know. Do you have a baseball team in Florida, Tim?
We have the Tampa Bay Rays and the Miami Marlins.
Oh, okay. I forget all those expansion teams. Anyway, you go to your game and you wear your Valverde jersey there, and everyone's looking at you like you're a total lunatic. It'd be so great.
It's fantastic. The photos look good. You definitely want to check those out.
Oh God, it's so good.
With that, we've reached the conclusion of another episode of the Slow Ride Podcast, and I would like to thank BK1 of Rhymesters Entertainment for the intro and outro music. I'd like to thank Grimper Brothers for their continued support with the full Schleck coffee blend that you can find over at the wideanglepodium.com. And I would like to thank all of our listeners who rate and review the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, or anywhere else. And make sure you email us at theslowridepodcast@gmail.com or follow us on Instagram and Twitter at the Slow Ride Pod. This is Tim in Orlando.
This is Matt, Minneapolis.
And this is Spencer on top of the world in Boston, Massachusetts, reminding you to always wave at all your fellow cyclists that you see out on the road.
The Slow Ride Podcast. Bikes, advice, and rumors straight from the source. TheSlowRidePodcast.com and on Twitter at TheSlowRidePod.